Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with CEO of Rubicon Entertainment and VP of Grand Hustle, Clay Evans, discussing building the Patchwork brand from the beginning, working with T.I. and Grand Hustle, and his success building with Lil Duval in the comedy space. Hey, it's Sammy Approved for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and I'm sitting down with CEO of Rubicon Entertainment, as well as the VP of Grand Hustle, and so on and so forth, Clay Evans. We're going to get into the story soon. Yeah? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Sure. I didn't really, honestly. You've done so many things. You are extension of the Patchwork family. We're celebrating 25 years. So it's a lot of things that we can talk about.
No, I'm not an extension.
You are.
I am the Patchwork family. Talking about extension. What's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? We must didn't.
I'm saying as in like you're not here currently. So
no, I am here currently.
Are you? What are you?
Once I'm Patchwork, I'm a part of the brand. If you don't expand and move the brand, I'm a global person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I'm not
so
saying
I didn't just cut it off. I'm always family.
I
put bricks in this building.
It's no disrespect.
Yeah, that's disrespect.
There's no disrespect.
I put bricks in this building.
Intended for
I wasn't hired. I was a creator.
It's no disrespect intended. It was not. It may be bad wording.
No, I'm just teasing with you. I'm just joking.
But, I mean, yeah, you were one of the first people here to lay the groundwork, the foundation. So definitely no disrespect to the OGs for sure. But I say that to say I want to know how you started and how you got your foot in the door in music, because I know that it wasn't by choice necessarily. It kind of fell into your lap, though you loved music growing up.
Well, I got into music because I wanted to be an entertainer.
Yeah, you wanted to be an artist?
Of course. I was great.
You was rapping, singing?
Yeah, I was rapping.
Okay.
And dancing. You know what I mean? I come from an era where, dancing was the epitome of cool. So, and I went over to Europe. I was in the military. And I just figured out not too long ago that I became passionate in music because of my mother.
Yeah, she was taking you to all the great shows.
Yeah,
I read.
That's where I became passionate at. But then I figured out, I said, hey, I can kind of do this. Mm-hmm. I got a Michael Jackson album and Off the Wall, and I realized I could do this. I could be an entertainer. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize I didn't have that Michael Jackson talent, so that didn't pan out too good. So
at what point did you tell yourself that you to have that conversation with yourself, like, okay, this might not be it?
Truthfully, I'm being truthful. I began to meet a lot of rappers, and at that particular time that I was meeting them, a lot of them were broke. Mm. So I said, man, I don't want to be no rapper no more. Mm-hmm. I want to do something else. So I had to figure that one out.
Yeah. So I know that you actually started with Bobby Brown early on.
Well, I was a part of the entourage.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was,
How did you link up with Bobby Brown, or how did y'all know?
I met Bobby a long time ago, and then one of my buddies, he was cool with Bobby, so we used to just slide up on him,
hang out.
And he said, if you want to be I was rapping, I was freestyling, and he signed me to a little situation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a verbal situation, and it never panned out. So.
Now, to explain verbal situation, y'all just had an agreement verbally.
Yeah, I was going to be a rapper, but I didn't take it serious.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like anything in life. If you, I saw lights, camera, action, but I didn't know the ins and outs, or I didn't put in the work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was all just a dream.
Got you.
That I couldn't figure out how to create it into reality.
Right. Now, you have a military background, and where you're speaking about like your worldly view and being global, you were able to see a lot of the world prior to even, a lot of people see, especially in the music business, the world through touring and et cetera, but you had already had that experience from being in the military. Why did you decide to go to the military? Was that just like your way? Your path?
I was just like anybody else. I was kind of lost. I went to school, Then I knew that wasn't for me.
You went to college?
Yeah, I tried to be a pharmacist. That didn't work. You know what I mean?
Pharmacist?
Yeah, I dabbled in pharmaceuticals, and and that didn't work. You know what I mean? So I said I'm going to military, and my dad was in the military, so you know. I knew of the military. My older sister was in the military.
Okay, so it was just like
yeah. So I decided I was gonna see the world, and I ended up being stationed where I lived at. I ended up doing tech school where I lived at, and once again, that was my first duty where I lived at. So I didn't see the world early on.
Oh, okay, got you. In Ohio?
Nah, I was living in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that you actually started throwing parties while you were in the military.
Oh yeah. We used to do these all nighters. Me and my partner Daryl, my cousin Eakin. You know, he's a DJ out in Tampa. He's kind of big deal now, but
Nice.
we used to throw a lot of parties called all nighters, where they would come on base and we'd keep the club open till 4 or 5 in the morning. But our difference was that we actually went into the economy. You know, we didn't just stay on the base. Sometimes you get in the military and you just hang around the base, or you go to stuff that military people do. We actually went and touched the people. You know, we would go to London. You know, we'd go meet people, and they would come to our all-nighters. So all-nighters were different, you know. And, you know, of course, that was my real taste, me being an American and performing and doing parties. I would meet a lot of artists, you know, like Moni before she blew. You know, we all used to just hang out together. So,
Dope.
you know, Moni Love, y'all kind of young. Y'all probably don't know
I know Moni Love
Y'all
is.
probably don't know Moni.
Maybe not our listeners, but I'm familiar. So I'm curious as to, you know, at what point, well, I want to know, like, how you've been able to utilize, like, your military background, or, like, what that helped you with in terms of the music business. Like, I mean, you've said this multiple times, but, like, you put the hustle in Grand Hustle. You have this, like, hustle mentality. You work really hard. Your work ethic kind of speaks for itself. So I'm wondering, is that come from, like, the foundation you set with the military, or is that just something you feel like is innate?
I think that's innate, you know what I'm saying? Because I come from, you know, my dad passed when I was young, so my mother was a hustler. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So once I got in the military, I can say I was prepared by her and my sister, you know, really to form direction and you know, just the don't take no for an answer type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what the military did, I could say, is, you know, they created a real structure of balance and paying close attention to detail. It's something I learned. I was in basic training, and, you know, we would get cash. You know what I mean? So your cash, anytime they pull you over, they could ask you, what's the serial number on your dollars? So I was like, man, why would you want to know what the serial numbers on my dollars were? But what that did is that created you to know every dollar that you had in your pocket. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because at any time, you'd have to be accountable for every dollar in your pocket. Mm-hmm. So that determined whether do I want to carry a bunch of money, do I want to put my money up. You know, that gave me a direction of saying, hey, the responsibility, even down to just the dollar in my pocket, you know, that it's detailed.
Yeah.
You know, so that helped me a lot. And I didn't know when that seed, once again, it's a life of seeds being planted and what they'll do. That created me to know, you know, I know what's in my pocket. You know?
And certain discipline too, you know, to just.
Yeah, real discipline.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about how you moved to coming to Patchwork. I don't know what happened in between, or like what.
I don't know. That story kind of cloudy. I don't know. But Big Bob Whitfield was the owner, and we all became friends. Me, Bob, Chuck, my partner BJ, and man, that story is so cloudy because we were just we didn't have titles, you know. It was just do what you do, you know. And I knew a lot of people, and I knew, you know, Patchwork initially was, I came in on the label side.
Right.
You know, and we had artists Mean Green, Voodoo, Raz Cass, who else? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Nikki Gilbert, yeah, from Brownstone. But myself and BJ, we was just in the street so much. That was our brand and connection to Patchwork. So I had been over at Bosstown, which was Bobby's studio, so I would see different people. And Rico Wade was one of the dudes I really was really cool with. And, you know, I told Rico, hey, man, you need to come over here and record, you know, which I wasn't a part of the studio side. I was just more part of the label side
Right.
and the branding and marketing side.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of like figuring it out at the time.
Like anything, if you have a vessel, it's like a lot of people, you know, they want opportunity, but they don't have the vessel for the opportunity. But then when they do get the vessel, they believe the vessel is supposed to take them to their destination, and they're not supposed to mop the deck. They're not supposed to screw a screw in. They're not supposed to put a light bulb in because they're seeking a title and what's the word I'm looking for? I forget the word I'm looking for. But they assume that down that they're on the vessel, that the vessel is just going to take them to their destination, and they don't have to invest in the maintenance or the upkeep to get to the destination. You know what I mean? And I'm a firm believer, if I'm a part of every aspect, I can never be without a job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even if I got to be the janitor, which at Patchwork, that's what we did. You know, we worked, you had a title that you created, and you worked night shift working at the desk.
Right.
You know what I
Because
mean?
yeah, you did like you were at the door. You were doing like just everything. Every part.
Oh yeah,
of
and I
everybody
was
was.
doing those things after I have seen the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I've always been a believer in, if you put yourself in position, you could create your job, you know, or you put yourself in a situation that that you needed. You know, I look at everything. You know, it's funny, like sports. You look at the team and you say, "Oh, he's the superstar," but you don't realize, yeah, he's a superstar, but there's a water boy. You know what I mean? And the water boy, if you don't hydrate, you know what I mean, you become dehydrated and you don't function. So if that water boy wasn't there, without that water, you know,
Yeah.
the superstar couldn't. You know, he could do as much as he can with his talent and his ability, but
You won't go as far.
But he won't go as far. He's going. That machine's gonna break down. So you know.
So your responsibility from the label side of Patchwork at that time, what were you doing? Like, was it heavy in artist development?
Once again, I don't know.
You don't know. I'm
You know what
trying
I'm
to
saying?
get you to get those brain cells working.
You're not. You missing it. The brain cells are working.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You didn't know at the time, period.
I learned by action and movement and
Understood.
process of hands on.
Understood.
You know what I mean? It's back to the music business. A lot of people see music, but they forget business. So I didn't know the business. I was learning the business, and I was learning by doing. You know what I mean? And I didn't have a lot of mentors, or, you know what I mean? I decided that, hey, whether we pass, fail, or whatever the hustle may be, it's all about the brand. Once we start branding Patchwork, it spoke for itself. You know, a lot of people say, you know, it's back to what's your job. I didn't have a job.
Right.
I made up a job,
Well, let me ask you why.
and I can't sit here and tell you something that I magically said, oh, I was a genius and I figured it.
Right.
Nah, that shit didn't work like that.
Oh, well, let me ask a better question. I would say is like, why were you excited to learn, to like even discover what it was that you were doing, even if you didn't know what you were doing?
Because I had a passion for music, or I had a passion for being around music. And once again, it's back to the mode of survival. You got to think, at that particular time, I was working a full-time job too.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? I was Superman. You know what I mean? I'd be what's his name, Clark Kent in the daytime. You know what I mean? I was working a job at right around the corner at Zepp Manufacturing, chemical plant. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
But my brand and my association, who I was, didn't dictate that job.
Right.
But that's why I laugh when I hear a lot of these dudes saying they couldn't work a job and because their image or whatever. I knew a lot of them dudes who had that image, and you was broke and you was a bum and you had an image, but you couldn't fulfill the prophecy of your business because you didn't have nothing to sustain you or keep a balance on you. So I worked a job until my dream could manifest fruit. You know what I mean? If your dream's not manifesting fruit, it's just a dream. It's not. And everybody has the ability to have a dream or capabilities to dream, but do you turn it into something?
Yeah.
So to stay focused, I had to work a job and then focus on where I wanted to be in life to create that balance.
Yeah, I'm happy you said that. I have to ask you the difference in like what newer labels today are doing versus like what you guys had to do in terms of like the groundwork, the foundation.
The difference is that if I wanted to find out who a producer was or a writer or somebody famous or in the business, I had to look at an album cover, and I would look and I would see that this person's name is said on 10 of my favorite albums, or this person is mixing on 6 of my favorite albums. So now I realize, okay, I know who that person is. I didn't have the luxury of the internet.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't have the luxury of it. These days, if I wanted to meet somebody, back then, if I wanted to meet somebody famous or connect myself, I had to really find them or find a person that knew them or a person that knew the person that might know them, versus me being able to say, hey, I don't like that shirt you're wearing, Kevin Liles. And he may respond to me. You know what I mean? I had to actually get out there and get in the street.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from the beginning of Patchwork, as the essence of it, I would say, we literally had to go out with cards, flyers, shake hands, kiss babies for real. A real politician move to create the brand, because the brand wasn't just a name then. It wasn't. Now, if you say Patchwork all over the globe, they know exactly what it is.
Right.
Then nobody knew what Patchwork was, or you didn't know the origin of the patch. You didn't know, you know what I mean?
Right.
We had to actually go out and do the legwork, and we did that we would go to seminars, we would go to the clubs, we would go to the actual DJs, we'd go, you know what I mean?
Right. So whatever happened to the label? Like at a point, like, I mean, because obviously a lot of people don't even know that there was a label at Patchwork unless you...
Well, at that time, we were funded by someone that had a lot of money. So our mind scheme was that we do it big, you know what I mean? And you realize everything going out and nothing's coming in. You know what I mean?
You have to change the...
It's changing shit. That shit got to stop.
Stop.
Immediately, you know what I mean? Then, a few artists, flagship artists had issues, and it didn't, the dream didn't fruitate. And once again, we were all young it's like, if you're used to driving a Pinto and someone gives you Ferrari keys, even though you know how to drive and even though you're a driver, and you can't handle that vehicle. So we were in that state that, we had some Ferrari keys, but we all was used to driving Pintos.
Right. That's a great analogy. I also am curious as to, because I know you even meeting T.I. and the start of Grand Hustle it began here with the relationships that you built here. So just like how you were able to leverage like just the people you're meeting. I'm sure at the time you were just meeting people and like building upon the relationships, but speak to why that is important or valuable.
What's funny is that we all want to be, we always use that word boss. I want to be boss, I'm boss. But a lot of people don't know what it takes to be the boss because they weren't adequate workers. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you want to be a boss, but you was a whack ass worker. You didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? So I met Jason Jeter here, and Jason was actually interning, and he was working a full-time job, and he would come intern here. You know what I mean? I saw his hustle and his drive, and I knew he was a smart kid. But once again, he started. He had T.I., and they were actually signed to a Ghetto Vision. And once that deal dissolved, you know, Jason and Tip wanted to start their own label. Well, I knew from me being all over the country, you know, and I had real like I had real. I believed in Tip for real. Like I
What
knew
was it that you knew from meeting him?
he was just so charismatic, like at a young age, and he had an old soul. So you could see like he was. I had been around rappers and been, you know, I was doing open mics. I created Lyrical Gym, you know, Tip, Luda, Damn Shame, Gucci, all these people didn't have deals. You know, I was doing different open mics. You know, my story is I'm kind of condensing it because I've done a lot of shit, and I'm being real with you.
I read 3 pages worth of it.
But with that, at that particular time, once they decided they were going to do it independently, I knew that I could create a position.
Right.
So the humility of it is now I turned Jason into my boss. You know, Jason and Tip into my bosses. And once again, I didn't mind playing my position because I knew what type of player I am. You know what I mean? I love Deion Sanders because he's the epitome of play your position and we'll all be great. You know, Deion played his position so well, the opposite corner or the opposite player, they made the Pro Bowl because most quarterbacks were afraid to throw at Deion because they knew he was so good at his position. They spread the ball around. So everybody else that got an opportunity to be great. So I knew it was an opportunity to be great, you know. So I started out as Tip's road manager. But at the same time, I know I was in a position to teach too. You know what I mean? Some people say, oh, you're just a road manager. But anybody know me, I ain't just no road manager.
Right.
But I realized somebody had to play that position for the team to be great. So I worked for a few years with no money. You know what I mean? Man, we weren't making no money, you know what I mean? So we don't make no bread. You know, it don't, you shouldn't expect rewards. Or if you're not bringing opportunities to make money.
Right. So
I was learning the game, and I'm learning the game, and I realized, you know, look, we could do this really on our own. So we start going to secondary markets, BC markets, and we would do our own party. We book, you know, people that wasn't booking Tip. We'd book ourselves, you know. And it spread like wildfire across the country. People started hearing about it. Or we might go to a city and, you know, being truthful, we come out there with a bag of money. And people start hearing Grand Hustle do they're doing their own booking. You can't book Tip. So that created a untouchable value on him. You know, even though we didn't have a deal at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's in a nutshell kind of how that happened.
So, I mean, let's get back to the shows and the showcases and the like events that you were doing too. I mean, obviously, you've been throwing parties and creating that sort of scene or culture since you were in the military, but then like to bring it to Atlanta at a time where like those types of shows and things really, really made a difference. Like a lot of acts that weren't signed, a lot of acts that were up and coming talent that was their time to like show people who it was.
See, I come from an era of artist development,
right?
Whereas some potential is not immediate, or there's immediate gratification on your hustle. So you have to build your brand, and you have to practice. You know what I mean? I come from, once again, an era that you get an artist and you nurture that artist from the beginning. You teach them how to walk better, talk better. You know what I mean? You know how to get into this game called music business or whatever. So I would do open mics, really just because I wanted to give a stage, an opportunity for them to be heard. And I didn't do it because I'm trying to sign everything. Because there's a lot of artists that came through my open mic that I never even in the wildest of dreams thought they'd be who they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just wanted to give a platform or give an extension of my associations. You know, I would say something to the fact that my friends are your friends. So a lot of people that would come to my open mics, you know, outside of the artists would be my friends that were, once again, in the music industry or a form of the music industry. You know, I look at, you know, different people from Rico, who used to run a record store. Now he's a manager, managing producers. Or you look and you know that all my friends or associations could be your friends. You just come, get on stage and what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word, but it was just an opportunity, another extension of my friends to be your friends type thing.
Yeah, you had a lot of people that graced the stage before they were who they were. Like, I mean, I was looking at some old footage of, like, I mean, Young Gucci, Luda, Young Trouble.
Oh yeah, all of them.
J Money. It was actually a video that I found where you basically sharing your thoughts on J Money, and I'm not exactly sure exactly what it was about because I watched it a while ago, but I thought it was interesting. This was at Club Crucial, Real West Side. You made a point to say, ain't no haters in here. We riding for folks who ride for themselves, basically. And if you grind with me, you with me for life. And that's essentially what you just said. Just like that, you were giving your extension of your network to the people that came to share their talents. What exactly did that?
It's funny because, once again, I say I look at different things. You know, like Quavo might come to me and say, Unc, I was out on the road with you. I didn't remember that particular point, but I remember Quavo. I didn't know he was a rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he had his nose to the game already. You went to J Money. J Money came out and passed out flyers for me. You know what I mean? He just came on the road with me because he had a group he wanted to start, and all of a sudden J Money become a rapper with a hit, you know.
Right.
But he understands the fabric of the game. I believe if you touch upon or you be that spark to give somebody a passion to be great, a lot of people say, oh, I started him or I did this to him. No, I just like to be the flint or the spark. If it happened with me, great. If it didn't happen with me, great. No, I didn't create you. No, I didn't make you. But I help add kindling to the fire that you want to create, you know. Gucci wrote in his book, you know, I love Gucci. That's somebody that I knew when Gucci was just Black T Gucci, and, you know, I knew he was something special about him. I didn't know what it was, or I just knew it was something special about him, so I took interest in him. You know, not that I made him or not that it endures me that a lot of artists can say there was a time or space in their life that I assisted their play in their business, and that's great with me. I'm cool with that. I don't have to be the richest in the game. I just want to be able to, you know. I look at Jacquees. I've been seeing Jacquees since he was 13 years old, you know, and to see who he is now, and to see that I can still call and he's gonna say, Unc, what's up? You know, I know he gives me a story about a seed I planted in his mind about another artist, you know. So when I see that and I see that they I could add to their function, you know. I did Hustle and Flow Made on MTV. A lot of them dudes wouldn't make it to MTV. Kid out in Chicago, Ty Money, you can check him out. I took him off my open mic stage and put him on stage with Tip, Yo Gotti, and 2 Chainz. You know, he performed. I like to see stuff like that.
With I mean, speaking of like young artists and groups like Winning, most of them have like an older, established veteran in their camp. Or why would you say it's valuable to have someone who's already been through it around that like help you move toward success if it's at all necessary? Because I mean, at the time when you were hustling and figuring it out, all of y'all were figuring it out at that time. But now it seems like a lot of people have like an OG around their camp to kind of guide them, or to have the privilege of having someone.
I don't look at it as so much as the OG because you got a dumbass OG.
True.
You know what I mean? These days people calling OGs that, and they don't know shit. You know, I look at it as having somebody, at least someone in there that sees the goal beyond the entertainment.
Right.
If there's somebody that has that spark of a vision of seeing tomorrow and today's success, then that's an aspect of who I want around. You know, because my story may not be your story.
Right.
My struggle may not be your struggle. Now I can give you advice and I can tell you some things, but like I've always been a believer in nobody can tell your story like you could tell your story.
That's true.
And some things in life you have to go through. You know, I was around Tip, and he done a lot of dumb shit. You know what I mean? But that's just the factor of life. You know what I mean? But I knew for a fact he had a great gene in him. Mm-hmm. Like beyond all the shit, I got to put my money on him. I know he's gonna do it. Whereas some people that just not gonna listen, and you gotta accept that. You know what I mean? There's some, I've learned that if you put all your energy in one individual or individual of their dreams, there's no way your dreams will never come. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I give all my advice, all my energy to an individual. And like you said, you do want someone around that camp. But these days, I'm sorry, we're dealing with instant gratification, and we're dealing with, that's why I try to find myself, I want old and young around me.
Right.
Because a young person's journey may be a little different, and they may see something ahead of what I saw that once again, it's a two-way street. I may not have to go through so much bullshit if I followed them, versus they may not have to go through so much bullshit if they follow me. It's a two-way street. It's hard to put age and OG on wisdom on, to me. You know what I mean?
I can agree with that. I just asking because I mean I think, like you said, it's important to just have different people around you.
Different points of views and perspectives of how to get to that journey,
Yeah. But when you speak about like the instant gratification or like the popcorn generation of we want like instant success, that's something that doesn't resonate with you as someone who had to like grind.
Oh, it resonates with me when I see some of the fruits of their labor.
True.
So I'm not gonna be an old man hater. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I would hope that you would reach back and try to slow it down and figure it out and learn the nuance of the business. I would hope that, because I can't knock.
If it worked, right?
If it worked, I'm never gonna. I've always, like I tell my partners, I can't hate how their arrival is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I had to do some dumbass shit to get to where I need to be, and it may not have been looked upon as cool, and let's face it, if my time in my era I could have cut some of them corners, I might have. You know what I mean? It's just the fabric of who you are. Me, I like to go through the process. Right. Me personally.
Why is that?
Because it's back to you. It's back to you can't survive if you didn't have to have a survival mechanism. You know what I mean? I want to be able to say, if I fall off or whatever happens, in the process of going down that ladder of success, I've built enough bricks. I've learned enough to know that I can survive to where I don't hit rock bottom. Everything that goes up comes down. That's reality. And I'm a believer in how you go up dictates how you come down.
Yeah.
You know, you could fall off and nobody ever know because nobody lets you fall.
Yeah.
But if you went up and you shitted on everybody and you didn't care about, you've always counted your dollar versus somebody else making some money or doing, you know, I've always been in a place that I don't have to make all the money, or I don't have to make money on, and this is going down to economics. As long as I can move the barometer to where I need to move or what's greatness for me, I don't care what you make or how you live, or, you know what I mean, as long as I'm fair to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
as long as, you know, I've and if I think like that, nobody let me fall off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's enough people that you help assist be put in position that they're bosses now, or they're in position to assist now, or they're, you know, that interview you did with somebody, now I need her to do an interview for me, for my clients, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just believe in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's how good people sustain.
Yeah.
Like, and especially in this business. I wanted to ask you, well, one, why are you considered the hustle and grand hustle? What is it that, because I mean, you've assisted for people who don't know Clay Evans and like all the things that you've been able to do, but like on the marketing and brand deal side, I'm super curious as to how you were able to like secure like the commercial with Chevrolet for.
Well, actually, that was done by
Oh, it wasn't
Steve Stout and Jason.
Okay. My apologies.
I did the Heineken deal.
Martell.
And Martell. It's just, and it's back to relationships. I met a gentleman that worked for an ad agency, and he was looking for some clients. And it's back to your accessibility and you creating your value of who you are. I may not be the best marketing guy or may not be the smartest apple in the bunch, but one thing I know is that I'm connected. So I realize that there's a value in my connection. But it's back to if you don't respect the value of the brand or the product, then there's no way that you can negotiate anything great for that product because you don't respect that product. Well, I respect the product, and I know the product being at that particular time of T.I. that he can deliver. So with that said, is I was able to bridge my gap between the client and the actual brand. I can fast forward. I used to go to the Magic show, and I know anyone knows Magic, it's about clothing, and I didn't know shit about clothes. But I knew one thing is I know enough people that could speak for your brand. And I watched that from a high level, but from a lower level view of seeing Steve Stout, you know, knowing that you're part of the culture, and they're the voiceless to a lot of these brands. Well, I was able to break that door down and speak to these particular brands, and they couldn't touch some of these guys that were everyday guys to me. And that gave me an opportunity to make relationships, you know. And my relationship with Heineken was created through putting Big Boy on a Heineken tour. At that time, you know, people looked at Big Boy as just Outkast, and they didn't realize that, you know, he's 50% Outkast,
Right.
and he's still, you know, they might look and say, "Oh, Dre," but they didn't realize they were a yin and a yang, and it was a reason why they were so great, because they both were great. You know what I mean? But I that's a hard conversation to have with someone who's not in that. What's the word I'm looking? He's not in that community. That's not what he does. So he looks at what everybody else says. Andre, you know what I mean? He don't realize it's a group,
Right.
and I know the nurture of the group. I saw the fabric of the group coming up, so I know the value of
Both
both individuals. You know.
So I mean,
as you know, I'm not good at this, so.
No, you're great.
So, I'm
You're
just saying,
dropping a lot of gems,
I'm
actually.
just saying, this is not what I do. You know
No,
what I mean?
you're really good at it.
I back to the hustle. I can remember your question because I was a debater. You know what I'm saying? I was a Lincoln Douglas debater. I've done a lot. But back to the hustle. I like to touch and be out. That's how me and Jason work great together. Jason that ain't what he do. But this is what I do. I like to be out in the mix, and I like to be a part of someone's history. And once again, it's just what I like to do. It's my passion. It's not a passion of I'm gonna be the richest man in the world doing it. I just like to do it. I like to connect dots with each other. I like to see people make money together. I like I like the growth. That's the part of the game I like. I like being able to mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the central theme is the connections, it's the relationships, and that you being able to maintain those relationships and build upon them, and not where it makes sense. Even
fun.
Where the Heineken with Big Boy, and just seeing where things make sense.
It's just funny, I say, I see different things, and one of those years I was in Chicago, and Tiffany Haddish was on me, and we're talking, all of us talking, and she tells the dude that she really don't know she got me a job. I mean, she get by the conversation, she says, "Oh, I want Clay managed me so long ago. He would manage me, blah blah blah." You know what I mean? But at that time, once again, I didn't see what the whole world see. I didn't see it. Mm-hmm. I knew she was talented, and one thing I knew, she had her tenacity was unmatched. You know what I'm saying? But I would never sit here and say, "Oh, I knew she was gonna be the biggest star." I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But what I did do is that I gave her opportunities to get on my stage, and my Hustle and Flow stage and different stages. But she planted a seed in front of a check for me by saying, who I was and what what my capability outside of that. I'm managing Lil Duval, but she planted the seed because this guy was more fascinated with her than even talking to me. Mm-hmm. But to see her response to me, then he in turn said, "Oh,
I need to know him.
I need to know him." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which was, that goes back to the graces of each seed we plant or put a little water on a seed. It may turn into something for you somewhere. It may not ever fruitate, but one thing it does is if we try to put each other in position, or we out here hustling and touching or discussing each other's dreams, we could possibly, some things could possibly happen for you. But that's why I can't be the behind the computer guy or sitting in the house. I got to get out and touch. That's my old school in me that I feel like I have to.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still quite effective. You still got to do the grassroots, I believe. Well, so how did you link up with Lil Duval? I know that you managed.
Well, Lil Duval used to kick it with us like our friend. You know what I mean? He was around Grand Hustle. Everybody used to say, "Oh, Duval signed to Grand Hustle." Duval's never been signed to Grand Hustle. But
he's like, let me clear that up now.
He's never been signed to Grand Hustle. But he's always been there. That was our friend. So Tip, he used to take these vacations throughout his career, and this particular vacation, he went to school unexpected. He enrolled in college, so he couldn't work. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All y'all know what college he was in.
Right. I'm like,
but
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So Duval came to me for real. He said, "Hey, since you ain't got shit to do, why don't you come and manage me, help me with my career?" And I thought about it. I ain't got shit to do, for about a year and a day. Let me figure this out. So that day, I said, "Cool, I'm gonna look into this." I didn't know nothing about comedy. Never, outside of that, I like comedy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I said, and what's ironic is I tell y'all this story. It's funny. I was doing an open mic at Crucial. This promoter came in and he wanted to do another night or whatever. So he told Duval, not knowing our friendship, to come to my night and he was gonna film him and promote it like it's his night for the next night or whatever. So Duval told me this, and I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "This is what I'm gonna do." I said, "If you don't fuck with him, I'm gonna just pay you, and you just I'm gonna make a night somewhere for you." You know what I mean? Because I was mad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's how you going to play this game. And Duval said, no, you ain't pay me. I just ain't going to do it. I said, so we going to make a night. So we went and bought these T-shirts, and we put Tripping on Tuesday on these T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And I went to the club. This before I even got to the club. I just knew Tripping on Tuesday was what I wanted to do.
Right.
So myself and kind of big deal Tracy, we went and got these T-shirts, and we created Tripping on Tuesday. We didn't have a venue, a night, nothing.
I manifested it.
I manifested it out of anger. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because anybody know me, you know, the other Clay would have went and synced about that. But this Clay said, you know what, I'm finna create, you know, the political business Clay said, I'm gonna create me a night. You know what I mean? So we got the night that we told them we wanted the worst night that they had at the comedy club. Mm-hmm. And it was a Tuesday. Nobody, not a soul in there on Tuesday. So our blessing was we made these shirts, and right after we made these shirts, a week later was the Dirty Awards. So, you know, I put everybody in T-shirts. Me and Duval ourselves with flyers in our hand, went to the Dirty Awards. And I'm still Clay, but I'm promoting it, you know, my Tripping on Tuesday. So my biggest shout out came from Ludacris. He was on stage getting his award, and I told him, I'm hollering Tripping on Tuesday. We hollering Tripping on Tuesday, and being who he is, Luda says, I don't know what the fuck this is, but we tripping on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So in the Ludacris voice, and so everybody looking around, and he don't know. He dropped that drop for me. Boom. The next week we did probably about 50 people to 100 people in the building. After that, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, it was over with. And our stage was graced by Lurel, who's a big Chicago comedian. He got booed on our stage. Yeah, off our stage. We had a rough stage, you know. Kevin Hart was on our stage. You name them, they came through Tripping on Tuesday. Carlos Miller, you know what I mean? These guys all came through the stage, and I started doing my homework on comedy, and I was like, man, you know, I seen what Russell Simmons did with Def Jam. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, this shit really, there's something here. Mm-hmm. You know, a friend of mine, Ricky, she manages a bunch of comedians now too. You know, I watched her. I watched Stan Latham. I started thinking like, man, this is like an untapped space. So we once again, me and Duval started doing our own shows too. You know, I went down to Birmingham, Alabama, and I met a man. He owns a Stardome down in Birmingham, mm-hmm. and it started people like Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, different people like that. Well, Bruce, the owner of Stardome, he gave me a night, just as I did at Uptown Comedy. Mm-hmm. We sold tickets, and he realized, you know, in comedy, a lot of rooms are papered that they give out tickets. So if you find a comedian that can sell a ticket, right. Comedy rooms are excited because their money is made in food and beverage. They don't really give a damn about the door. But when they find a comedian, an urban comedian, quote unquote, that can actually sell tickets, mm-hmm. they're impressed upon that. Mm-hmm. So once again, I learned this game by mistake, but once I got into it, I invested time into learning it mm-hmm. Because Duval's, his abilities are great, and he works hard at what he does. So I had to figure out how to work harder or work just as hard to create a brand. And once again, that's where we got Rich Broke and Rubicon and that was the me delving into the comedy world.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing.
Absolutely. That's an amazing story.
Oh, yeah, it's a blessing.
That's dope. I guess I could lead into how an indie artist, like a lot of the people watching and listening are independent, trying to figure it out. So how would an indie artist with maybe a small fan base, even, how you started with T.I. and the Chitlin Circuit and just newer artists coming up, they're not doing, obviously, like headlining shows at that time, but how can they start in cities they've never been to? Or like, what would you recommend or advise to create like a successful, memorable tour for an indie artist just starting?
I would think most of these artists, it's like you want to come to Atlanta and say, oh, I'm finna pass out my CD or my jump drive or whatever. But do you know how many CDs and jump drives somebody gives somebody in Atlanta?
So many.
Everybody in Atlanta is a star. Mm-hmm. Even the bum, he's a star too. Everybody you meet is doing something or somewhere or I'm somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I've always assumed I go to a market that I'm a big fish in. Or I'm creating a brand, I'm a little fish that's creating myself to become a big fish, and the competition is not as thick. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you make it as long as you make it. You know what I mean? Because everywhere else is going to follow. We're in a following society. They're going to follow you. So if I believe in me, it's hard to say because it's back to you got to believe in yourself type thing. I hate to say that because it sounds so cliche.
It's true, though.
But the reality is I got to believe that I'm going to be great. Mm-hmm. Now, a dose of reality got to kick in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if you ain't talented, if your music sucks, or if your work ethic sucks, or you got to put all those factors in it too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you could believe in yourself so hard, and I believe that I could play basketball, but I couldn't play basketball. So I had to realize that ain't me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'd just be funny, or maybe I could outdress them, and I outdressed everybody. So. They want me to sit on the bench. You know what I mean? You got to determine what you're good at or where you're at. You know what I mean? Because I look at a lot of artists that at a point in life I would have gave up. Like, I'm not finna do this shit. Yeah. And I see them and I know them. And they know I know them. But they didn't give up. You know what I mean? And they became great. And it was a point that I really believed that they should have said, fuck this shit. But who am I? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just back to you saying what should they do. I believe if they believe in what they're doing, put the trial and error in, put the work in, and if nothing comes from it, if you feel like keep pushing. I hate to say it, but sometimes you gotta know when to say fuck this shit. I'm gonna go do something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just reality, But who am I to tell you that?
Right.
I'm nobody to tell you that because Duval had a hit record at 42. Number one record at 42. You know what I mean? He's been making records.
Yeah,
people don't know that.
Put a song out right with Tank and.
Yeah, we just Nasty on all platforms.
What is it with Tank and?
Tank and Jacquees. Yeah. Nasty on all platforms. Huh?
Smile plaque.
Okay, well, if you want a plaque, I'll get you a plaque. See, Curtis talk to me like that over, you know what I mean, and do what he just did to me. I got DJs that tell me this. Y'all got to understand. Y'all know me and know I don't be out here on that type. I don't be, my mind don't think like that. My mind be thinking I love you and I love you. And if you give a fuck about a plaque, you know what I'm saying? I got a bunch of plaques that are sitting in my house. Well, ain't hung nowhere. And it's some plaques that my name should be on in this building. Ooh. You know what I mean? That they ain't on. You know what I mean?
I gotta have a conversation. I want to ask you because I know you talked about it briefly and I didn't want to interrupt you, but during the time that T.I. was in school, I want to know, how do you maneuver as an artist image? How do you maneuver with an artist image brand after something like that happens, though? Like, beyond that, like after...
With him, the hard thing was that he had, quote unquote, crossed over.
Oh, like to mainstream?
You know what I mean? And You know, I'm gonna just say for real, he lucky he can talk and he look good. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people ain't gonna survive that. And once again, it's a gene in somebody that you cannot you can't replicate. There's a gene. And some people get lucky, and there's some people that it is what it is. And yes, you have to be able to accept where you're at in life. You know, all of a sudden these companies drop you. But if you have a value to you, or you can create a value to yourself, or people think undeniably we still have to do business with them, or once again circumstances and situation. You know, Duval went through a hit in his career, you know, and it was a hit that people are unaware, you know, how it affected us as a company. But if your desire, once again, if they want you, they're going to be a part of your business. And everything in life, there's things that happen, or how you bounce back. How you bounce back is stick to the plan, or stick to your beliefs, or if it's something that you did, you know, that you may have to apologize for or whatever. Those are different circumstances. I just believe, you know, once again with Tip's circumstance, he recreated himself, and he stayed on a straight and narrow in business and life, and once again he invested in himself to where he doesn't have to rely on the financials from a company that dropped him, or because he's created a brand for himself where he can eat off of his brand that he created, and the people that believe in him. You know, outside of him selling someone else's merch, he sells his own merch. You know, a cool hustle gang. You know, that's back to me saying, if you establish a brand and you create more than just saying, hey, I got a hit record, but you create a brand, anything can happen to you.
How I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you have mentioned branding and marketing, so like since the beginning of you working here at Patchwork, but like how does one, I know the way that you did it was, you know, being in the streets and pushing it, but like how does one create a brand like staple enough to sustain like something like a Grand Hustle or Hustle Gang? Is like, you know what that is, you know who's associated with the brand, it's just like very strong. From your perspective, how does somebody do that?
That's hard. With us, we just kept pushing the line, and people could identify success and failure with the brand on the two sides of the street. You know what I mean? Because you can't have success without some form of failure, and it's what the failure does to create the success. Meaning, okay, this happened, so to prevent this from happening again, this is what I have to do. But I'm going to always push the brand forward. It's not going to be bigger than any other product that I put out. It's going to be, it's basically like Crest. If you use Crest toothpaste, you use it. You know what I mean? You use it because it's Crest, and you've got so caught up with the brand and the box color and everything that I can come with a toothpaste today, and it could be the same ingredients and be the same thing, and it could be $10 cheaper. You're gonna buy Crest because you've established the brand. You believe in the brand, the what it does for your mouth, or what it feels like. You believe in the brand. So whereas we created a brand that we've put out enough material, we've put out enough good music or other artists, or that the consumer believes in us now. So they'll give you opportunity to fail or succeed. So it's back to you keep on pushing the line of the brand, and things around the brand that a consumer have to associate with would have to be quality, reliability. Would have to have things in it that support what I believe in as a consumer.
Right.
That goes back to Patchwork. People know, you can come to Patchwork. I can record. My room's not all smoked out. Or if I like to smoke, there's an opportunity. Or if the front desk are great, the security's good.
You get cookies and
you
lemonade.
get cookies and lemonade. So you got to believe in the brand. You know what I mean? And if the brand, particularly this day, comes in, you only got one employee in here, I believe in the brand so much that I still give you a shot to work with me with your one employee. That's because your deliverables have been sustained throughout the course of the year or course of life for me. So now I'm a firm believer in your brand. That gives you more of a chance to pass or fail, And a lot of people want to be bigger than the brand. And if you want to be bigger than the brand, that means you got to go create your own brand. You know what I mean? Get the fuck off my brand. No, I'm just being real. You got to play your position, Play your position.
Now, I have to ask you this. This is a little off subject for what we were talking about, but in your opinion, who started trap music?
So,
Who started?
What's she talking about?
Who started trap music?
What are you talking about? Trap music.
I'm just asking. A lot of people.
What's the last trap music album you bought?
I'm just asking.
What is the last trap music album you bought?
I mean, trap music exists now.
Where is a trap music? You said where it exists to start, right? What did you say to me?
I asked you who started trap. I mean, we've had this conversation on the podcast, so that's why
We're
I'm
only
asking you.
speaking of the brand trap music. I'm not speaking of street music or whatever.
You just,
Trap music.
Uh-huh.
What the hell? I'm not even gonna talk to you because you.
Just asking.
I'm just saying to you. Let me tell you something. I heard trap and other rap, or other rappers. You know what I mean. Sweet James Jones himself. You don't even know who Sweet James Jones is.
I don't.
Pimp
No.
C. You understand me? Yeah, who was a patronat worker, person of Patchwork, I brought over here. I did that too. Yeah.
You did? You brought Pimp C?
Why, man, get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? Jazzy can speak that too. Anybody want to say some stories, we can sit here and tell some real stories.
Tell some stories.
But back to trap music, who coined the slogan and took it around the globe is the king. Now, are there other trappers and trap music people who were speaking of trap? Yeah, once again, I spoke of Gucci. You know what I mean? There's, that's a hard debatable thing because then, you got to think of, what's some boy's name? Your boy. Yeah, Ghetto Mafia. You got to think Ghetto Mafia. I could speak of the word trap, I've heard it well before, but to coin it and to put a stamp on it and call it a brand, I'm sorry. Christopher Columbus said he discovered America, didn't he? Because he put his flag down. You got to put your flag down. You know what I'm saying? And we put the flag down. You know what I'm saying?
You've been a part of a lot of stories and artists' lives, and we touched on a few of them, but I have to ask you about working with Travis Scott. I know that you did more so like consulting.
Yeah, with Travis is actually MLK found Travis.
Right.
And
he spoke about that on the podcast too.
Yeah, and Travis has always been, from the time I've met him, a unique individual, He records his own music. He produces his own video. He's of the era of being in your room and coming out of your room and being something huge. He's someone special, and I really mean this because I've been around a lot of artists, and he's be that young and be driven and know what you want and create greatness. It's just amazing, to see him. I equate that back to me saying Tip. You know, Tip is someone that they don't give him the credit for his mind beyond, you know, the words or whatever. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that this is a kid that invested in himself in this industry. You know, he spent his own money. He drove his car to New York City to record. He done everything it is to call yourself the king. And that, me paralleling that back to Travis. Travis is a visionary. I can remember one time Tip came in and he shouted, you know, the boy want us to put on underwear and be in this video, and we wear these tighty whities, and he said, what's wrong with him? But he didn't understand, like, this dude, you know, this is the dude that told me, we sat on a bus and Travis said, you know, Migos gonna be one of the biggest groups in the world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm not young, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, okay. But I knew they was dope, but you know what I mean? I didn't realize they were gonna be the biggest group in the world. But you just see that this kid he was way beyond a thought of normality or, you know, his creativity is unmatched. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because he took it out of the living room and he took this thing all over the world, and he's got ideas and plans of where he wants to be, and he's there.
Let me ask you, like, for people, I mean, you have Rubicon Entertainment, you're continuing to manage these careers and tours and, like, all the different things that come along with it. But if someone were to be interested in approaching you, how should people approach you if they're looking for an opportunity? Is there a right time to ask you for something, and is there a wrong time to ask you for something?
Don't bring me no damn CD because I'm old and I'm on some young people stuff. I ain't got no CD player in my car. I don't know where no damn CD player at. Don't bring me no damn CD. You know what I'm saying? This dude gave me a CD in the club the other day and told me don't break it.
No, he didn't.
You know what I'm saying? You know, he gave it to me and said, put that up somewhere and don't break it. You know, I felt like, you know what I'm saying, that was the wrong time because he don't know. Man, leave me alone.
Before I break this CD.
Man, I'm let Queen Latifah this thing. Let the streets feel it. No, people know. I don't care. You can talk to me anytime.
Yeah.
My number is my phone number, and it's been my phone number forever. 404-425-82222. If you gotta hit me, but you know what I'm saying. Understand. Have something to say when you call, and understand that it's my phone, and if I don't want to fucking talk to you, I don't have to talk to you, and understand that I may miss out on something great, and it's okay. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people say, hey, if you would have talked to me, I don't believe in none of that shit. It may not have been for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But one thing I do say is I'm not the Wizard of Oz. So I can't do shit that you can't do for yourself. I may be able to get it to the next level, or I'm a firm believer in let me come find you. You know, people say, oh, you ain't gonna come find me. Well, then I might miss out. But one thing I do know is your level of negotiation and conversation is different. You know, if I come to find you, you could talk to me different, you know. Mm-hmm. I called Uzi Vert a long time ago, and he was able to talk to me different. He was arrogant, and he didn't give me no time of day. But then I pull up and I'm his uncle now. But understand, you know, it was a time he was able to say it to me because he knew and believed he was hot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he wasn't on nowhere then, but he believed he was hot. So yeah. I believe you could create your conversation you want by things being on your turn. I believe, yes, be a seeker, and yes, go out there, and yes, open your mouth because closed mouth don't get fed. But understand, whoever you talk to or whoever you meet is not the end to all means. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So do not take it personal. You know what I'm saying? If somebody don't have time to talk to you or don't want to listen to your music or don't want to pull over and you put the phone to their ear, who gives a shit if they don't want to? You know what I mean? Now, if they do and you bless them with something good and it happens, cool. But I tell people I believe in this. Do not take it personal. You know what I mean? Because if you take it personal, you're going to say, you're gonna look at them like I'm never fucking with them. And you may come a time that a bridge cross and you see them again and it's on different terms. You know what I mean? If you've already set in your mind that, oh, he an asshole or I don't want to deal with him, I'm going to tell you I'm an asshole. So I'm just being honest, but I give you a shot and you holler at me, but everything's not for me and my time is my time and I may miss out on something, but that doesn't mean I'm not interested in what you're doing or I hope you don't succeed or it just may not be for me.
Right.
Like anybody else. Or I may not have the resource or the time. I may not be able to tell you, hey man, I'm fucked up. I can't even do nothing for you right now. You know, I like to be honest. I can't do nothing for you right now. You know what I mean? I can't do no more than what they're doing or what you give me to work with. It's back to people say, oh, will you be my manager? Well, as a firm believer in give me something to manage. Most artists that I've managed have given me something to manage. You know what I mean? They've given me an opportunity to be great because they're great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Versus me, someone saying, oh, you made him, because I ain't make nobody. You know what I mean? I assist and I may tweak the recipe a little bit or I may add sugar here where it needed, you know what I mean? But if you don't have nothing to manage, there's no possible way you can be a good manager. No way.
Absolutely. I agree. I told you this earlier, or we talked about it earlier, that we're celebrating 25 years this year at Patchwork. But it was something that I found intriguing that you said on the 20th anniversary, which is celebrating growth. As somebody who has had a great career so far and continuing to, sow your seeds, I should say, and someone who sowed seeds right here, and to see like the fruit of your labor, to see where it is. What do you mean by, or how should you celebrate growth, or how do you celebrate growth? Like, do you ever sit back? Obviously, we've had this podcast to like reflect on your career, but do you ever sit back and just think like, wow, I came from this place and I'm continuing to do something in this space and beyond?
When they do that, that's a obituary.
True.
You know what I mean? And
True.
I celebrate growth by digging another hole, plant another seed. It's hard. You celebrate when you have a goal. Like you see them win the championship and they want to hoist the trophy up. Well, after that's all over, it's back to the next year if you're still in that game.
Right.
And, I also believe, you're supposed to celebrate and have a good time, blah, 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 all that. But I'm doing what I like to do. So there's no trophy for me. And maybe I should create a lane to get a trophy. I've been a part of Grammys. I've been a part of Oscars. Shit, I've been a part of, #1 records, platinum records. I've been a part of all of that. #1 movies. I've been a part of all of that, and that's great. You know what I mean? But it only adds to your history. It doesn't add to your future. And if I sit back and I want to celebrate, which the great thing about me, like I said, is I'm happy in my space. There was a time that, I wanted to be the richest. I wanted to, we've all had that. But
how did that change for you? Like,
just life and just being around people who's achieved it all and lost it all too. You know what I mean? So like I said, I'd rather be good and become great than be hot and cool down. You know what I mean? Because hot cools down. Good gets better and greater if you work at it. And that's kind of like, I celebrate everybody, and everybody has their moment, and they better understand it. You know what I mean? Everybody has their moment and their time to shine and be great. You know, it's what you do in your moment and your time that everything was great that sets you up to when you're not as good, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just what it is. I looked at the brunch and I laughed because the Grammy brunch and
Rock Nation?
Rock Nation brunch, and you see people like, oh, I guess rock. It was a time I was like, oh, all right. But I understand my difference was people behind it or about it. I knew you when you was interning. I knew you when you went to college up here in Atlanta. I know, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with my peers versus me looking at an opportunity to be somewhere I could say I was in a moment of greatness. My moment of greatness, I'm telling you, is for real, is being able to go to the brunch and come back to Atlanta and go to Chit Chats or go to Crucial. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
That's my greatness that I love. That's what I love. That
You're living it.
what? Come on, I'm good.
Word. So early on in your career, I heard you were pretty good or really good at collecting these debts. How did you go about collecting debts back in
That's
the
so
day?
funny. I was young, dumb, and excitable. You know, no, I just believe that you could. Once again, we're gonna go back to that brand. Mm-hmm. There's no way you could be a great brand if somebody owe you some money in these streets. You know what I mean? I just never wanted to be known as the place that you come record and run off on. So
how did you do? How you was going to find folks?
What? we going to see you. We going to see you at your mama house. We going to see you at daycare. We pulling up at Magic City. Don't let me be in there throwing some ones. We come and take them ones. Yeah. We was collectors there. Anybody that knows me knows. You know.
You better pay them debts.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. I don't want nobody to owe me shit, and I don't want to owe nobody nothing.
Thanks.
But one thing we ain't going to be known as no punks out here. When you come to Patchwork, you already know what it is. Pay your bill. Pay your bill, and we're going to see you in these streets.
Somebody had to get paid.
But it's different now. We're going to send you the debt collector. We're going
to do business differently.
We do business different.
Yeah. It's really dope to connect all of the stories. I mean, you've been a part of... you're still a part of history, but to see, to be able to speak to the people who started.
But understand, I do this because I like this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I believe, once again, everybody has their time in their day, you know, and I believe I create my time in my day. You know, nobody gonna tell me when I'm fall off, nobody, because I create my space. Mm-hmm. And that way I can go through life not disappointing myself or not living up to the standards of where somebody else says I should live or where I should be or who I should be, you know. I believe, once again, I wholeheartedly like and enjoy what I do. So, you know, no amount of money or fame or direction can change that, you know. I told you I worked at a job, and the man, I was on break, and I was on the phone, and he tapped his watch at me. And I said, wow, this motherfucker thing, he dictate my time, and that day I quit. Mm. I said, psh. Now, will I do it again when I work a job again? Oh, yeah. If it talk about feeding my family and surviving, yeah, right. I'm going to do that by any means. You know what I mean? But when you create a way and a passion for yourself, because, once again, entrepreneurship and all that shit is not what it's cracked up to be, but it's what it's cracked up to be for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, if I decide I'm not going to pay a bill or something, then I'm not going to pay that bill, and it's only going to affect me. You know, that's just me.
So I got to ask you, you know, for Clay Evans, for the Rubicon brand, for you, what's in the foreseeable future? Anything that you can talk about and tell the people we should be expecting from you?
No. No. I'm just saying. I like things to manifest themselves versus me speaking on it.
Gotcha.
You know, of course, I can promote and say, you know, we got the Nasty record dropping, we got the Lil Duval Living My Best Life special coming. We got the Black Cousteau, Lil Duval. We got, you know what I mean? Expeditiously is out there. You know, the podcast. You know, you know, J Ski. We got a bunch of things coming up.
Cool.
I just don't. I want them to manifest themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, and once again, I wake up every day for opportunity. So I don't know what opportunity may come my way.
Yeah.
But as long as I wake up and keep moving.
That's all it is.
Oh, and that sounds like some bullshit, but I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I don't know what's going to happen when I leave out of here.
Yeah. We got some things going on today, but...
Oh, yeah, I got a couple things.
Some things planned. So, well, I wish you the best in all of your endeavors. I am very grateful to have been able to talk to you and get these words of wisdom, these gems out of you.
I just know I would... Anytime, it's back to the brand. Anytime Patchwork call me, I'm gonna show up. I don't like doing this shit.
Yeah.
Just be honest with you,
Yeah.
I don't really. But
well, we appreciate it. And I think you did great.
If my team need me, and if it's gonna help somebody else, you know what I mean. I don't know what to say half the time because I live life and I've never tried to set up a platform of creating anything. But once again. If Patchwork called me and that's back to that brand recognition, I'm coming.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it for sure. And I do think that you shared a lot, though you may not feel like, you know, you're good at this. You did a great job. So tell the people where they can find you on social media, if you'd like.
Shit, I don't know. Oh, Rubicon Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I mean, Rubicon ATL. That's my Instagram. Clay.Rubicon, Gmail. You can send me an email.
You already gave the phone number out, so they got to go back in.
Yeah, you got to find that one back out. But I'm being 100 now. If you call and I'm eating or I'm doing something, I don't want to be bothered. It's my phone, and I can say what the fuck I want to say. Do not call me. Bye.
Thank you so much, Clay, for sitting down with me. As always, you guys can find this podcast at IDM Podcast on social media, as well as myself at Sammy Approved on all social media platforms.
Oh, you know how to do. Okay, hold on. You know what I'm saying? She tried to stun on me, didn't she? You know what I'm saying? It's Clay Evans. You can find me at Rubicon, Grand Hustle, Grand Hustle Management, Brand Management, Rich Broke. You can catch me at clay.rubicon, gmail.com, Rubicon ATL, IG. I don't have no Twitter. Holla, get at me. Live life. Life lives you. You dig?
You dig.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Sonically superior.